Good evening. It's February 9th, 2021, 5:30 p.m. For the Community Improvement Corporation quarterly meeting. At this point, Mr. Mills, would you like to call roll?
Yes. Mr. McElravy. Mr. McElravy. Jeff McElravy. Okay, he is. Jeff McElravy, can you hear us?
Blink twice.
Yeah. Jeff McElravy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Great, we're calling the roll, and so we'll start with you. Mr. McElravy, are you present?
I am.
Great. Mr. Iona? Mr. Mills is present. Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here. What is that whistling I hear in the background?
I don't hear it, unless it's feedback from the other mics.
Okay. Thank you. Made me feel a little bit better. All right, we move on to number 2, approval of minutes. You've been provided in your agenda packet, minutes from the October 13th, 2020 CIC meeting. Are there any motions at this time?
I motion that we would approve the October 13th, 2020 minutes.
I second it.
Motion by Unger, second by Rajagopal. Are there any questions or comments with regard to the meeting minutes from October 13th, 2020?
None from me.
None.
Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote on that approval.
Mr. McElravy?
Aye.
Mr. Mills, I vote aye. Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye. That passes. Moving on to number 3, new business. Motion to accept the financial reports from 2020. Are there any motions at this time?
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Motion by, who did that, Mills?
Yes.
Second by Rajagopal. Are there any questions, comments, concerns with regard to the financial reports from 2020 that are provided in the meeting agenda packet?
Yes, I had a question. Mr. Mills, then you got several payments for the professional services. Okay, you mentioned professional services, and total up to $2,200. Okay, what is actually the professional services? And it's been paid out in several months. February, March, May, July, the 2 payments, actually 3 payments in July. What is this professional services?
Sure. So,
Do we need them?
yep, we contract with Plattenberg to do our financial statements and to help us prepare various financial reports. And the reason that is not all in one lump sum is because that's how Plattenberg has billed us.
Right.
So they've billed us in installments rather than in one fell swoop.
So his task is primarily to make financial statements, financial.
To help us with the audit. Yep. And to Mr. McElravy, would you like to, is there anything you could add to what Plattenberg does for us?
Sure. Well, I think that summarizes it pretty well. We engage with them for the preparation of our annual financial statements that go to the auditor of state. It's a requirement under state law for townships and also for community improvement corporations. So we do that in order to comply with the law.
So pretty much this they make audit statements. I mean, they submit that to the state auditors.
They help us to
Provide
prepare
that.
reports that we submit to the state auditor. Yes.
Do we have some problem with that? Reporting to the state, is it one of the things the state auditors?
No, our
CIC.
our CIC audit was perfectly clean. There wasn't a single audit finding. It was a perfect audit.
Okay, there's nothing in that, the audit report came up, showed anything about the statements.
They said that it was absolutely perfect. There wasn't a single mistake made.
That's I want to confirm,
Yep,
okay?
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mike, thank you, Jeff.
Additional comments?
None from me.
Seeing and hearing none, we will move to a vote.
Mr. McElravy?
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye. Item B, motion to set 2021 meeting schedule. In your meeting packet, as I scroll down here on what is labeled page 20, the schedule of meetings, which consist obviously of today, April 13th, 2020 for Q2, July 13th, 2020, it should be 2021.
Oh, yep. That is a mistake. It should all be 2021.
So at this point, I will, the February, I will amend the meeting schedule to reflect February 9th, 2021, April 13th, 2021, July 13th, 2021, October 12th, 2021. Are there any seconds on that
I'll
amendment?
second Mr. Waller's motion to amend those dates.
Any discussion?
None.
We will move to a vote not on the schedule itself, but on the amendments that were made to the schedule.
Mr. McElravy?
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye. Okay, now that that's been amended, we have before us the meeting schedule for 2021. Are there any motions?
I motion that we would accept the schedule as amended.
I'll second that. Motion by Unger, second by Waller. Any comments?
None from me.
None.
Seeing and hearing none, we will move to a vote on the 2021 meeting schedule as amended.
Mr. McElravy?
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye. Great. Moving on to item C, which is discussion. It's certainly kind of a potpourri of any topic the board wishes.
I have no particular topic, although I'd participate in a discussion on anything else.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, the one thing that again, one of the goals, I think, is to improve community participation. And we're talking about, I've already reached out to some people in Groesbeck about CDC, and hopefully to make that as a model through this. But the one thing I'd like to add is some form, even if it's limited in some way for citizens' comments as a regular part of the CIC. I think it's important that it's not a wild card, that it would be linked to items that are on the agenda, maybe, or something like that.
Yes, sir. We can make that happen.
Would there be a time limit?
I think, what is our shot clock now? 5?
I think in the past, we've limited it to, we got to start our next meeting on time. So however much time there was.
I mean, I know that at the county they do 5 is a lot, but I never want to really cut that down. At the county they do 2. You know,
Yeah. According to the rules of procedure in the Board of Trustees meetings, it's 5 minutes.
but we don't need to maintain 5 for the CIC, right?
No, that's your discretion.
So I don't know what everybody else thinks. I mean, I don't think it should be 5. Maybe 2's too short. I don't know.
I'd leave it to the discretion of whoever is the president of the meeting, up to 5 minutes. If the president thinks it should be less than that, I'd leave it up to that person's discretion.
And that would allow for, if we have a CIC meeting before a trustee meeting, that would allow for the timely start of the trustee meeting following it.
Which is what we have tonight.
Right.
I do think it would be important, and not that there'll be a lot of comments, but if we have 10 people who want to speak, and we only have 20 minutes reserved for public input, then each get a correspondingly same amount. I don't know, do we need to do that after new business? Do we need to do it at the end of the meeting instead of the beginning so that we could budget how much time we have?
I'd be fine with however you want to run it, Mr. President. just as long as we're ready to start the next meeting as advertised on time.
Scott, is there anything that would preclude me from saying, let's do public comment at the end of the meeting?
No, I don't think so. I think that it try to be at the president's discretion.
The only thing about having it at the end is that you wouldn't be able to take their comments into account when you're making your votes, which is typically why we have it towards the beginning so that folks can share their opinions about things that matters before the board.
Okay, maybe we have a cutoff time, then if you haven't indicated your willingness to speak, then,
Sure.
you can catch us individually, or, if we start at 5:30, maybe if you don't have the end by 5:35, or something like that, maybe that would be more effective. I don't want it to be chaotic, but I do want there to be an opportunity for additional citizen addresses linked to the things that we're discussing.
And I think you make a good point, Matt. This agenda was published last Friday, and so people have had Friday night to read it, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and today, and all of us are accessible by email or by cell phone. So if any members of the public have comments on this, we've always certainly welcomed them. And then as far as what actually went on at the meeting, I would certainly leave that to the discretion and scheduling capability of the president, because Matt, you're running the meeting, and if you see we've got a short agenda and you see that it's, we would still have another 15 minutes, you'd be able to divide the time based on what you saw right in front of you, depending on how the meeting was going. But just like our trustee meeting agendas, we have these out 97 hours ahead of time? 96 hours ahead of time for this meeting, and so we welcome comments at any time. But if I think it's a good idea to take public input for these CIC meetings, and you've got the 96 hours after the agenda is published, and then however much time the president would allow at a CIC meeting, up to 5 minutes.
Okay. Do we need to have a motion or a vote? Or?
I mean, I think that you could probably just use that guidance. I don't know that there needs to be any official motion.
Okay. All right, any additional discussion?
Yeah, one more thing. We have, what's the next project for this year? CIC, anything? Thinking about anything pending?
There's nothing on the horizon right now. So the CIC is a tool that exists for the township when there is a need for it, right? And so right now we don't have any prospective projects. There may be an opportunity, over the course of a year to pick up a distressed property that's in tax foreclosure or something, and we can transition it to a side yard, or we can do whatever the board wants. The reason that the CIC exists is to opportunistically be able to react to, or in the event that you want to take a proactive stance on something, proactively work towards some economic development project. But as of right now, there's nothing in the pipeline for the CIC.
Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, any additional comments?
That's it.
None from me.
All right, any motions?
I would motion that we adjourn the meeting of the CIC.
Seconds?
I'll second.
Motion by Unger, second by Mills to adjourn. Any discussion?
None from me.
None? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and go to a vote.
All right, Mr. McElravy.
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Unger.
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal. Mr. Waller.
Aye. So we stand adjourned at 5:44.